Hello guys, welcome to another edition of AutoShack Ghana's Maintenance Motorway. In this edition, I want to talk about why you should use coolant and not water. Okay, now first of all, let me say that coolant is really nasty stuff. Keep this stuff away from your kids and your pets. Let's show you why this is so nasty. Check this out. So harmful or fatal if swallowed, contains ethylene glycol. We're going to talk about ethylene glycol here shortly. Okay, now do not drink antifreeze or solution. Okay, so kids and pets, you need to keep this stuff away from them. Okay, now check this out. Ethylene glycol causes bad defects in laboratory animals. Of course, we don't know if it does the same thing in humans, but I mean, why would you want to risk it? Okay, so this thing is good for your car, but not so good for people. So there's a video that we made. I'm going to put it right up here in this link. We talk about some basics of coolant, and I think you should watch that before you watch this video. First of all, I want to talk about this 50-50 mix. Now this is, as you can see over here, we have ethylene glycol, which is really what we're talking about, which is the main component of coolant. Okay, so this is really the component that does the job of preventing the liquid from freezing and also preventing the engine from overheating. Okay, so it's very, very important. Now this 50-50 mix, what it stands for is 50% ethylene glycol and 50% distilled water, not ordinary water, distilled water. This is very, very important. Okay, ordinary water has minerals and chemicals in there that can cause electrolysis and really kickstart the corrosion process in your engine. So you don't want to put regular water, you want to put distilled water. Usually it's always advisable to buy a 50-50 coolant, but sometimes you can find like 100% coolant, in which case you have to mix it yourself. So maybe you take half a gallon of the 100% coolant and half a gallon of distilled water and use that. Number one, water is going to boil by the time the engine is hot enough that it needs to cool down. Okay, because engine really needs to cool down around 220 Fahrenheit, and water boils around and evaporates around 212. So what that means is that the water is not going to be available to boil the to cool down the engine when it's really hot and needs to cool down. Okay, so this is where this ethylene glycol comes in. Now let me say that water by itself is a very good transfer medium for heat, in that it can pick up the heat and move the heat away, but the problem is it can't hold it for long because it will basically just evaporate. Now ethylene glycol, let's look at some of the qualities here. Okay, we're just going to focus on really the boiling point, up to 265 Fahrenheit, as you can see over here. So what that means is if the engine is basically around averagely 220, this is going to still be in liquid form to the point that it can carry the heat away and circulate the heat and take it out of the engine into the environment, by which time water would have long boiled and evaporated. Okay, so you don't want that. So that is one of the reasons why you don't want to use water, because if you use water, all you're going to end up doing is damaging your engine, because in vapor form the water is so hot that it can't really take away the heat from your engine. And this is why people who use water experience more often things like overheating and warped engine heads, and also things like detonation, pre-ignition. Basically, detonation and pre-ignition are irregular combustion processes, which you don't want because they can damage your pistons and your engine internals. So you don't want that. Now here's another point. Ethylene glycol by itself is not a very good conductor of heat, okay, but it does a good job of holding the heat. All right, so basically that's why you have a 50-50 mix, because the water can conduct the heat easily but it doesn't hold it well, and the ethylene glycol, which is down here, I think we saw that, can also hold the heat well but it doesn't really conduct it well. So those two kind of mix to give you the best of both worlds there. So that's very, very important to understand. The other thing is you can see ethylene glycol also has a good range of functionality from -34 Fahrenheit to 265 Fahrenheit. Now here's another reason why you shouldn't use water. Take a look at this. It says this formula has a concentrated blend of premium long-lasting inhibitors to offer protection for up to 5 years or 150,000 miles against temperature extremes and the ravages of rust and corrosion. The water has minerals in it. Okay, you can't completely get rid of all the minerals in the water, especially regular water. Also, the electrical wiring in the vehicles are sometimes connected to the engine body and other metallic parts in the car as network grounds or electrical grounds. So what happens is that sometimes the electricity can actually make its way through the engine block, and if it travels through the coolant, in which case it's going to be water in this case, it can make the water slightly acidic. And by doing that, you kick up the process of electrolysis where you have two dissimilar metals, and that starts to cause corrosion inside your engine. Now, because the water boils so easily and evaporates so easily, you have to keep kind of topping it up and topping it up and topping it up, whereas the coolant keeps its integrity over a wider range of temperatures through which the engine operates. Okay, so it's always a better idea to go with the coolant than the water. All right, if you guys have any questions, please reach out to us, connect with us on social media. We have a Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. And as usual, don't forget, don't drink and drive, don't text and drive, and always practice defensive driving. Catch you in the next video.